I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
The Robert Scott Bell Show.
We have a lot of problems. It's because we don't follow the rule of law. We don't follow the Constitution.
By the way, Ron Paul cannot get elected. I'm sorry to tell you.
Robert Scott Bell.
Just one day after a raid on his farm, a local man goes back to selling raw milk.
We're hoping that one day the government won't make it so difficult to have that right to choose the food you want.
Robert Scott Bell.
Your new tax plan is going to tax me more, isn't it?
I think when you spread the wealth around, it's good for everybody.
I don't think there's any doubt he intends to see the wealth redistributed in this country.
It's my money and I need it now!
Taking on bureaucrats and corporations that would stand in the way of health freedom and making sense out of medical propaganda. The voice of health, freedom, and liberty, Robert Scott Bell.
Want to live on Sugar Mountain with no high fructose corn syrup from Monsanto. Hey, welcome everybody. It's not Neil Young, promise.
Wow. I didn't see that one coming.
That was for you, Super. I love to surprise you with songs that I can't sing, just to keep you on your toes, and because I've asked you to do a little something for me, to open the second hour with Dr. Rashid Bittar to do advanced medicine, because I got to take a quick break, run out, come back. But for now, let's start the show, shall we? We got a really big show. Beekeeping. We got a guy who's saving the bees in Florida. And Liam Chef has hooked us up, so we're going to connect with him in just a little while. Patrick Gaudin. That's the French way of saying it. I'm sure they say Gaudin in American English. See all the links. We're going to a beekeeper and a fan of the Robert Scott Bell Show, Patrick Gaudin. We got Liam Chef here just for a little while longer before he has to take off. We were doing our gardening, but now we're going to talk about keeping bees in the backyard. Can you do it, especially in Florida? And what else? Dr. Bittar's coming up, advanced medicine. Super Don's going to hold the fort for me when I have to dart out at the end of the show this hour. And I'll be back as soon as possible. But stick with us. Get the Apis Mellifica ready.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
It's the Robert Scott Bell Show.
Robert will be right back.
In the health world through the power of radio. It's the Robert Scott Bell Show.
All right, it's time for a little Apis Mellifica for lunch and dinner. That is, you know what Apis is?
My uncle?
Your Uncle Apis. That's Liam Shep. He's back for a moment. We were digging in the dirt all weekend, started the permanent beds or semi-beds or permaculture beds, and planted some trees, blueberries.
Yeah. Well, I haven't really started a permaculture bed yet.
No.
We scraped off the dirt from the sand in Central Florida so you could grow sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
And we put a plastic ridge there to hold back the grass. We put down some mulch. You have a lot of work to do, so you'll have to take a break from your constant electronic world.
I do, and I agree. It's therapy, and it's something I've got to reconnect with. So thank you, Liam, my friend. We are joined by another friend, longtime listener, evidently, of the Robert Scott Bell Show. He's, would it be safe to say he's also a beekeeper? His name is Patrick Gaudin. And I am welcoming you officially to the Robert Scott Bell Show. That's why my Apis joke that I opened, a little beekeeping.
Yes, it's nice to be here with both of you. Nice to meet both of you.
So how does a contractor get into beekeeping?
Well, I've always been into health, even through my mom, for the past 20, 30, 40 years. In the 70s, we were eating sprouts on our sandwiches at school, and people thought we were weird. So anyway, both of my kids are unvaccinated, and
I like this guy already.
Well, my brother tipped me off to vaccines, and that's a whole long story, before my first was born. So we withheld, and they don't have any allergies or asthma and all that type of thing. So I had another friend in this arena who tipped me off that bees were dying and that the bees were being medicated and poisoned, even by beekeepers, putting antibiotics in the hive and whatnot.
Wow.
So I thought, you got to be kidding me. We're eating honey that has antibiotics, and they're fed high fructose corn syrup. It's true.
Amazing.
So I said, I got to prove, just like, my kids are guinea pigs, unvaccinated. So I'm going to start keeping bees and make them guinea pigs.
Hold on, I got to correct you there, Patrick. It's the kids who are getting vaccinated, or the guinea pigs?
Absolutely.
Your kids. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But I just want to make sure everybody realizes that you experiment on your kids with each vaccine. They haven't been tested in the way that you may think so. But if you're a long-time listener to the show, you know what I'm talking about. But Patrick, very impressive. How many kids do you have? Did you say?
I have 2.
2. Okay. And we asked my kids if they want to keep bees. They're just afraid of getting stung. We're going to get into that because, Apis mellifica is a great homeopathic remedy for a lot of things. And maybe we can get some folks past that fear. But if you're telling me that beekeepers on a larger, probably bigger scale, are feeding high fructose corn syrup to bees and antibiotics.
Yes.
Do they think these bees are American people? I mean, they got to be like everybody else?
Well, it's one of those things, like the American people are propped up on drugs now to supposedly keep them healthy. And so the beekeepers have been sold the same bill of goods, that they think they have to feed their bees all these medications in order to stay healthy, because they're fighting varroa mites and all these other issues in the hive, American foul brood and whatnot. So, of course, the pharmaceutical answer is to drug everything up.
Right.
And so that's not the way to go, and it's weakening the genetics, weakening the immune system of the bees. And I've proven on a small level, and a lot of other people have, that bees can be kept naturally and thrive.
It's like organic agriculture. You'll never get that to grow without pesticides, right?
That's
that same concept playing itself out.
Correct.
Liam, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that Big Pharma has made it into Big B.
How do they feed them? Why do they feed them fructose?
Okay. Because what's happening is most commercial beekeepers steal most of the honey from the bees so they can sell it. Mm-hmm. So in the meantime, they have to feed their bees back either sugar syrup or high fructose corn syrup to keep them nourished, quote, unquote.
Would they normally get this nourishment from the flowers, right?
Correct.
And it's converted into honey.
Their own honey and their own pollen.
They eat the honey, right?
That's correct.
Because they're cannibals.
That's their, honey is their, pollen is their protein, and honey is their carbohydrate source.
Mm-hmm.
How do they make it? It's gross, right? They
have it in their body. It's an enzymatic type of reaction. They spit it back up. Exactly.
On purpose, though. They're all anorexics. Sorry.
Hello, I'm your friend the bee. Hold on.
That is such a lovely sound. At the level that the bees operate, they probably laugh at each other. Like, that's a great sound. Who can make the worst one?
However, bees vomit in a very sanitary fashion.
This is great. We're going to take a break and talk more bee vomit when we come back. Patrick Gaudin is our guest, and Liam Sheff is here. We're going to talk beekeeping. I'm very excited about this subject, so be with us when we get right back.
You're listening to the Robert Scott Bell Show. Making sense out of medical propaganda. Here's Robert.
That was a bee that really just lost it there. Liam Sheff is here. Also, Patrick Gaudin. He's doing some amazing work with beekeeping, and you might consider doing it yourself, particularly if you're in Florida. SaveBeesFlorida.com. We have it linked up in the show notes tonight. SaveBeesFlorida.com. Liam, how did we connect with Patrick? How did this all come together? This is a kind of an interesting story. It relates to Steely Dan, I heard.
Oh, I have to tell this?
Yes, you must.
This is a bit private.
Okay, go semi-private on this one.
Okay. Well, I wasn't cruising fatchicks.com, and no, all right, no. I'm sorry. I'm kidding. I was on Facebook doing what I always do. There's nothing wrong with having a little extra weight, unless it's bad for you.
Chris Christie. That was
I just want to say, Robert Scott Bell, are there any bees available to vomit right into my mouth?
Oh, Chris Christie.
Chris Christie here.
He deserves it. He does deserve it.
Okay, listen, I hate to give this away, but I worship at a couple of altars. One of them is that of David Bowie. One of them is Steely Dan, Donald Fagen, Walter Becker. and I sometimes DJ on Facebook. Patrick shows up.
Yeah.
He's got, what can I say, excellent taste.
Excellent. All right.
Thank you.
Well, it wasn't the Dance of the Bumblebees. I mean, that's musical, right?
I don't know.
Has no relation.
I don't know. All I know is that I still think we agree. I think Countdown to Ecstasy is the one. I even saw Donald Fagen once say that his fans, there are people who love this and he doesn't understand them. But that's my favorite Steely Dan album.
That's their second album, if I'm not mistaken. It came out in 1973. But that album and the Royal Scam are the pinnacle of Steely Dan.
For me, they are. Okay. And then Pretzel Logic came after, which is just kind of crap. It's really weird.
I love Pretzel Logic. There's a lot of gems on there, like Night by Night's on there.
Night by Night's a great song.
You guys are music nerds in a good way. I like it.
Yeah. And actually, it's music dorks. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, but the appreciation got you connected. And Patrick, when did you first hear the show?
It was probably back when Ron Paul was running back in 2007, 2008.
Way back.
Robert, I want to keep these.
You stop picking on Ron Paul there, Liam. So going back a lot of years, so you're a freedom guy as well. And, of course, when we talk about the freedom to heal is also the freedom to grow food, which is necessary. This is why the answer to every question is grow food.
Grow food.
Grow food.
Correct.
Including maybe raise bees. And I want to learn more about your journey. As I said, you learned that they were being killed. You learned that they're being raised chemically as well.
Yes.
And so how did you find a way to do it in a, quote, natural way, I guess?
Well, the obvious thing people do nowadays is get online and start researching. There's plenty of information, and there are several gurus I started looking up, Michael Bush being one of them, Sam Comfort, Dee Lusby out of Arizona. And I was reading that, hey, it's not only pesticides on the crops, the neonicotinoids and whatnot. It's what beekeepers themselves are putting in the hives, and you never hear that in the media. The media will only discuss probably pesticides that are on crops.
In a generic way.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's never discussed much, all the CCD from the point of view of the beekeeper themselves, sabotaging their own bees, I guess, so to speak.
Well, in ignorance, of course, they just follow along what they've been told. And
yes.
So you went deeper. You found some people that kind of guided you to start this thing up. And,
correct.
I got to ask this question, though. I mean, did you have to get special permits to do it? I mean, is there a way they could deny you to do bees in your backyard?
Well, you're supposed to register with the state, and I am a registered apiary. But the state cannot keep you from keeping bees now in a residential area. That's at least in Florida.
In Florida, okay.
Now, every state's different, and I'm only able to have 3 hives in my yard.
Okay.
So,
right.
But, that's generally Florida is very beekeeping friendly.
So I can keep bees anywhere in Florida?
Yes.
Even Fort Lauderdale?
Yes.
Wow, that's really cool. Now, if you're doing this, you're not talking about Africanized violent honeybees, or people have a fear of bees.
Yeah, I think Africanized, that whole, the killer bees, that's another term. You would have to get genetic testing on a bee to know for sure if it's Africanized. There can be mean bees regardless if they're Africanized or not.
Okay.
There's a breed called Russian bees that have come in from Russia. They're black. They're known to be mean. So if a beehive is mean, you don't get genetic testing done on it. You don't worry. You don't put a label on them. You just call them mean, and you requeen them.
Okay.
You give them a new queen, and they'll start laying eggs, which in a month or two, the beehive will turn nice, theoretically.
Wow. Okay. Have you seen that happen?
Oh, I've done it many times.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's more than theory in your experience.
Yes.
So besides Wilton Manors, which is down in Fort Lauderdale, where do you get a new queen?
Oh,
what?
I live next to the Wilton Manors.
Just
there are a lot of
saying.
queens there.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong.
So where, besides,
Yeah, well, how do you get a queen to start a new hive at the colony?
Yeah, well...
calling Freddie Mercury.
In my case, I raise my own queens.
Not in a bad way.
Yeah. What do you mean raise your own queens?
We're getting into entomology here, but bees from an egg can raise a queen if they're queenless. It's just as a matter of feeding them nothing but royal jelly.
Ah, the royal jelly. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Clouseau. Oh, the royal jelly. Yes, that's right. This will do that. But the royal jelly stimulates the production of a queen in an egg.
That's correct.
Wow.
And it could either, depending on what they feed it, it will either become a regular worker female or a queen.
Okay.
Just from the diet. It's unbelievable.
Bees let women work?
Pardon?
They let women work.
Bees let women work?
The women do all the work in the hive.
Is that right?
They kick drones out, male bees, regularly for doing nothing. They only need them around certain times of the year for mating purposes, and that's all they do.
Men are just all they're good for.
I'm feeling the females in the audience laughing. I'm feeling them enjoying this segment.
Yeah, I think they're liking this. All right. Well, Patrick, in terms of the benefits to the environment, obviously, we don't have fruit and vegetables without bees.
That's
People
correct.
don't understand that. We don't eat real food without bees.
We don't eat cultivated food.
Cultivated, thank you. But the wild as well, no?
Let him answer. What kind of things do we lose without bees?
Well, see, there are other pollinators besides honeybees. There's butterflies and other smaller bees and whatnot. But in our agricultural system we have now in the United States, unfortunately, it's very commercial. And they have to cart bees around the nation on 18-wheelers.
That's not healthy.
Do you think that
it's not healthy?
But was it motivated by the whole colony collapse disorder? Did they always have to ship bees?
No. They've done that for the past 70 years or something. I'm just estimating.
Trucks again.
Yes,
it's always trucks.
Wow.
Why do you think that California's the almond? How do you,
that's one of the major.
Tell the story. Tell the story.
Yeah.
So the almond crop in California is about Valentine's Day every year. They ship millions of beehives on 18-wheelers to California, wrapped in saran wrap, all these boxes of bees on 18-wheelers. Set them out there. It's a monocrop. And for 2 weeks, they allow the bees to pollinate the almonds. And then they cart them off to Washington or whatever to get on the
apples. Why do they call them back to the hive? Here, bees. Come on, bees.
Well, they know how to come back to their own hive. Okay. The ones that aren't killed because they spray pesticides on the almonds while they're pollinating.
Plus, they put them on trucks going on the highways.
Right. That's got to be good for them.
Suffocating them in saran wrap.
Yeah, it's really but you know what? I do not want that system to stop right now.
Yeah.
If that system stopped right now, we'd have a lot less food. It's just we've been backed into a corner.
Okay.
So, eventually...
Patrick, if we do these backyard bee things, do you think that would be less necessary? Just not related because it's all about the big business agriculture?
The only answer long term is for people to become local and grow their own food rather than rely on commercial agriculture. But right now we're addicted to commercial agriculture and we can't cut the tube immediately.
All right. Well, let me ask for personal benefit. People might be motivated by their own. Well, what could I gain from, in addition to benefit to the environment?
Let me say one thing. Stop eating almonds.
The almond crop.
Just stop eating almonds. California puts 10% of its water into almonds.
Yeah.
If it's about 40 or so, 50%, it puts a huge volume into cattle.
Yeah.
So if you're eating cattle, alfalfa, or anything from California, stop. No, shut up. I heard what you said. Stop. I said stop.
The bees are going to get you. So what about personal benefit in terms of if you have a hive, and how many of those hives would you need to be viable in terms of maybe even covering your costs or more?
Yes, sir. That's a great question. And what I feel is you need at least 2, 3, 4 hives in order to get supplies from one of them to feed the other if the other one's failing. If you need a queen, you need food in another one. And also, if you have a garden, it's great for your garden. It's easier to keep bees with multiple hives. If you only have one hive and it starts failing, you panic and you have to start calling people for queens and this and that. So it's easier to have 3, 4, 5 hives than just one.
And how many bees approximately are in a given hive?
20, 30,000 to 50,000.
Wow. That is a staggering number.
Yeah.
Now, if I place this in my backyard, would we be able to go out in the backyard and enjoy the backyard, or would we be stung every time we walked out?
No, you would be able to enjoy the backyard unless, some beehives genetically are prone to attack weed eaters and lawnmowers.
Right.
And each beehive is different. They all have to have different personality traits. And if you have one that goes after lawnmowers and weed eaters, you just requeen it.
Yeah, I was thinking either that or stop growing grass and grow things you don't have to cut down like
That's
that
right.
with these gas machines. Anyway, SaveBeesFlorida.com. SaveBeesFlorida.com. Do you have links to resources like some of the people you learned from at that site where people can learn about some of these other people?
Yeah, Michael Bush has a website. Just look him up, Michael Bush Bees, and he has excellent videos on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Different, talking about the health aspect of this, feeding them naturally. Sam Comfort, look him up. D. Lusby.
Now are we out of time?
No, we got about a minute, and then we'll take a break. We'll come back. Yeah.
Well, okay. So Robert's going to have a garden, and I'm going to help with that. Other people are going to help with that. By the way, if you're in Orlando and you're doing permaculture, just get in touch with the Robert Scott Bell Show. Really, we're looking to expand the show in that direction.
We've connected with the Permaculture Orlando group online.
Well,
on
that's
Facebook
not really
too,
that's a like, but I mean,
Sure.
we want to connect with people.
Yes,
not just their male drones who get kicked out of the hive. So we're gonna have sweet potatoes. We're gonna have kale, collards, probably some broccoli. We're gonna have some local plants: a papaya, a fig, a Florida avocado. What do we need to plant to attract and feed bees?
Well, generally anything that flowers, like squash, pumpkins.
Jennifer? Oh, no, that was an old joke from Bill Clinton's years. I'm so sorry about that. That was bad.
I resemble that remark.
Poppies.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Hemp eventually. Eventually, yeah. Hey, look, we're going to take a break. We've got a special guest in studio, Patrick Gaudin, and his website, SaveBeesFlorida.com. Very excited to learn that they can't stop you from having beehives if you want them. We'll talk about some more after this.
The Robert Scott Bell Show. Robert Scott Bell Show.
I remember it was The Flight of the Bumblebee. Lovely piece of music.
Come on, let us be people in there for a sec. Let's just talk music.
We've got to talk music, but I thought people want to hear the music of the honeybee. That's what we're here to teach them.
We already did.
Did we cover enough, Patrick?
Well, we didn't discuss Hendrix doing Flight of the Bumblebee live one time.
That would be
all right,
cool.
stars.
He's done it.
We are on. You didn't even know we're back from break. Oh, my gosh. Liam, pay attention to the clock here. We've got a few minutes left, and we can do bees, we can do music, but I really appreciate you connecting us with Patrick here. You hear the bees? I hear the bees. And there's the bee vomit again. Thank you very much. But do you eat the bee pollen yourself?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. There's such thing as bee pollen and bee bread, and that's a whole different aspect that you both ought to research. Bee bread is inside the hive in the cells. What bees actually is another enzymatic reaction. They get the pollen from the world and bring it in the hive, and they put the pollen in the cells, and it reacts with things they vomit up, of course, enzymes, and they bake what's called bee bread.
Wait, who bakes it?
The bees.
The bees are bakers
it's
too?
Bee bread. And it's different from the actual pollen they bring into the hive. That's the raw material. So bee bread is much better for you than bee pollen.
Really?
Yeah.
And how do you get it?
You have to dig it out of the cells. It's like little pellets. You dig out of the cells.
No, I think the bees are just telling you that's bread.
They got you fooled. I love that, but I mean, they already knew.
Hey, Patrick, and want some more bread? And it's gluten free.
Yeah, it would be.
The bee pollen, already had an amazing amino acid profile.
Yes.
In terms of that, it also contains really rare minerals, some high in gold, interestingly enough. And that's a unique thing for higher functions, sexual organs, if you will, and systems. So there's some unique aspects to drinking or eating, however you want to do this. But the bee bread I wasn't aware of.
Yes, that's correct. And I don't consume enough bee bread myself. It's pretty troublesome to go through and, knock all the pollen out of these cells. And plus you have to raid the beehive, so to speak. So it's just something I haven't gotten into yet.
Remember that number? It was a Steely Dan number, 77, Raid the Beehive?
I don't remember that one.
Remember the single that they had here at the Western World between Royal Scam and...
Yes, here in the Western World was a B-side from
it was a
B-side. They're nicely done.
Yeah, it was from the Royal Scam.
So it wasn't like that song Hey 19? That wasn't about 19
That was on Gaucho. That was a big hit.
Yeah, that was. But Gaucho was when they were just...
I still love that album, even though it's kind of sterile.
No,
but I love it.
Yeah, I do. Because it's like the later Fagan stuff. Like, Donald Fagan is a genius. I worship Donald Fagan as a musical genius.
But where did they get the name, Steely Dan?
From the book.
I can't tell you right now.
But it's from the novel Naked Lunch.
Okay.
And I know.
Why did you ask that?
I thought Liam might know these.
We do know.
You guys are music
It's very dirty.
Yes.
Oh. Okay,
Yes.
well, we'll find out on the break, and you kids, you'll have to ask your parents.
It's a William Burroughs novel.
Listen, anyway, what you want to do if you're not a Steely Dan fan is take your fist, open it so it's open, and just do this in your face. Okay, and then when you're done doing that, go get Steely Dan Gold or Steely Dan Greatest Hits.
Yes.
Or get some royal jelly.
And get some royal jelly, a little bee bread.
How much does it cost?
The Cuervo Gold, the fine Colombian.
To set up a beehive. Like you go to a nice person such as yourself that's willing to help somebody. How much would they have to give to help you to help them?
Yes, I use Top Bar hives, and they're a lot cheaper than Langstroth hives. And Langstroth hives are the commercial beehives you see in the fields most of the time, where they stack up square boxes. Mine are more horizontal.
Okay.
And it's a lot cheaper and I guess more archaic method of keeping bees in Top Bar hives, but it's less maintenance. Mm-hmm. You don't need as many tools. You don't need a honey extractor to extract the honey. It's crush and strain.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a lot less expensive and maintenance free.
So if you give a number, a figure, ballpark for people to save
you could start a hive. It depends on. You can catch a swarm of bees, by the way, by putting lemongrass oil in your hive and attracting a swarm.
Okay.
Or otherwise you'd have to buy some bees from somebody who raises them, either package form or in a nuke form that's already has comb and queen. But I would say a couple of $100 to get started.
Okay, that's reasonable. Well, this fits into the theme, Liam. We're all about out of time here. I got to
you can buy Honey Nut Cheerios or honeycomb cereal. Those come with bees.
Yeah, not the same thing, but bringing it back home, going local.
This
fits beautifully into the
theme. Bringing it
back home,
isn't it?
Bring it on home. That's a Led Zeppelin song.
Bring it on home.
Bring it on home.
Bring it on home to me.
Hey, Patrick, it's so nice to connect with you. I hope this is not the only time we can talk, because this is just another expansion of what we're trying to do.
He's a fourth amino.
He's a fourth amino. Yeah. All right. He mentioned Richard off the air.
Yeah, he said something nice.
Yeah, I miss him.
It's a big mistake.
All right, big mistake, mister. All right, we're going to take a break. The power to raise bees locally is yours, as is the power to heal.
The Robert Scott Bell Show.